3 months into her sentence, Maya had kept her promise exactly once, on the first day. By the second day, she was already cataloging the prison's security flaws. By the end of the first week, she'd mentally reverse-engineered the entire electronic access system. By the end of the first month, she understood that this place wasn't just broken, it was dangerous. The electronic locks on the solitary confinement cells had a failure rate of roughly 12%. The fire suppression system was running on firmware from 2003. The medical bay's electronic record system was so poorly secured that anyone with basic SQL injection knowledge could alter medical histories, drug dispensation logs, or appointment schedules. People could die here, not from violence, but from negligence dressed up as technology. So when Officer Elias kicked the industrial washing machine for the third time that morning, cursing under his breath, Maya broke her promise.
The timing relay is off,
She said quietly, folding a rough towel with her head down. Elias stopped kicking and looked at her. He was a lean man in his 50s, with gray stubble and eyes that cataloged everything. What did you say, 8802? The cycle is getting stuck because the water level sensor isn't communicating with the drain pump. It's a software loop error. If you give me a screwdriver in 5 minutes, I can bypass the sensor and force the drain manually. Elias stared at her for a long moment. Then he smiled, not warmly, but with the satisfaction of a man who just confirmed a hypothesis. You're Maya Vance, the Bastion Secure theft. Yes, sir. You designed their entire security infrastructure. Yes, sir. And now you want me to hand you tools and access to electronic systems. He crossed his arms. Do I look stupid to you, 8802? No, sir. You look tired. And that machine's been broken for 2 weeks. The laundry is backing up. The warden is breathing down your neck. And the repair company is charging the state $800 just to show up. Maya met his eyes. I can fix it. And if I break it worse, you can add it to my sentence. I'm not going anywhere. Something flickered across Elias's face. Calculation, not trust. He looked around the laundry room. The other guard was dealing with an argument near the dryers. The machine sat idle, full of wet, souring uniforms. 5 minutes, he said, pulling a multi-tool from his belt. I don't leave. You don't touch anything except what I tell you to touch. And if you try anything cute, I will make the rest of your sentence very, very unpleasant. Understood, sir. The moment the cold metal touched Maya's palm, she felt her breathing steady. She unscrewed the panel with practiced efficiency, her fingers moving through muscle memory she thought she'd lost. The circuitry was crude, just a basic PLC controller with a relay system that had corroded from moisture exposure. She didn't bypass the sensor. She fixed it properly, cleaning the contacts and adjusting the water level threshold in the controller's basic programming interface. Within 4 minutes, the machine hummed to life, water draining with a satisfying thud. Elias stared at the machine, then at Maya. How did you do that so fast? I build things much harder than this, sir. He took the multi-tool back, but his expression had changed. Not friendlier, more focused. Back to work, 8802. Maya returned to folding towels, but she felt his eyes on her for the rest of the shift. 2 weeks later, Elias approached her during dinner. The cafeteria was loud with the clatter of trays and competing conversations. He dropped a heavy, plastic-wrapped object on her table, a broken tablet with a shattered screen. The medical bay's record system is crashing, he said quietly. The IT contractor says they need to replace the whole server, 6 weeks minimum. But I'm thinking maybe it's just the client-side devices causing the sync errors. Maya looked at the tablet, then at Elias. Why are you bringing this to me? Because I did some research on you, Vance. You didn't just build Bastion Security. You designed medical record systems for 3 different hospital networks before you were 21. You know what you're looking at. I'm a convicted thief, sir. You're a convicted thief who fixed a washing machine in under 5 minutes. He leaned in. Here's the deal. You tell me what's wrong with this tablet. If you're right, maybe I'd find some other broken things you can look at. If you're wrong, or if you try to access anything you shouldn't, I document everything and you spend the next 4 years in solitary for attempted escape or hacking or whatever I can make stick. Maya picked up the tablet carefully. The screen was cracked, but the device powered on. She navigated to the system information, checking the firmware version, the installed apps, the sync logs. It's not the server, she said after 2 minutes. The tablets are running an outdated encryption protocol that's incompatible with the server's updated security certificates. The IT contractor probably updated the server side, but forgot to push the client-side updates. You need to either roll back the server encryption or manually update each tablet's security certificates. Elias took the tablet back. And you can do that? With the right access, yes. But sir, Maya hesitated. Why are you really asking me this? Because this place is held together with duct tape and prayers, and people are getting hurt because of it. Last month, an inmate with a documented penicillin allergy got penicillin because the medical records weren't syncing. She nearly died. 2 weeks ago, the solitary cells were locked with people inside, and we couldn't get them out for 4 hours because the override system failed. He looked at her directly. I don't care what you did outside these walls. Inside, I care about keeping people alive. Can you help with that or not? Maya felt something shift inside her chest. Not hope exactly, but purpose. I can help. Good. Elias stood up. Tomorrow you're reassigned to maintenance detail. Don't make me regret this. The maintenance closet was small, poorly lit, and filled with what the prison administration called e-waste pending disposal, broken tablets, outdated routers, tangles of cables, and discarded computer components. To anyone else, it was junk. To Maya, it was a laboratory. Elias gave her clear parameters. Fix only what he brought her. Don't access networks without supervision. Document everything. He installed a camera in the corner of the closet, angled to capture her entire workspace. What he didn't know was that Maya had already spotted the camera's blind spot, a narrow angle behind the filing cabinet where she could work unobserved if she positioned herself carefully. But she didn't use it, not at first. For the first month, she did exactly what Elias asked. She fixed the medical bay tablets. She repaired the broken access card readers in the education wing. She diagnosed the power fluctuation issue in the administrative offices. Every repair was documented, every fix was legitimate, every system she touched became more stable. And slowly, grudgingly, Elias began to trust her. It was Dolores who finally asked the question that had been hanging unspoken between them. They were in the yard during exercise hour, walking the perimeter while other inmates played basketball or clustered in groups. You're not just fixing things, Dolores said. You're learning the entire prison's infrastructure. Maya kept walking, her eyes forward. I'm helping. Bullshit. I've been here 8 years. I know the difference between helping and planning. Dolores grabbed her arm, stopping them both. What are you building, Maya? Maya looked at the older woman, this embezzler who'd spent nearly a decade inside for stealing from the nursing home corporation that had let her own father die from neglect. Dolores, who understood that sometimes theft was just justice with a criminal code attached. Insurance, Maya said quietly. Against what? Against them changing the deal. Dolores let go of her arm. The money, your trust fund for the dead people. You think Covington's going to find a way to take it back? I know she is. She's had 3 months to dig into my digital infrastructure. She's smart enough to realize that the money's still out there, locked behind time delays and legal triggers. And she's desperate enough to try to stop it. So what's the insurance? Maya resumed walking. The kind that makes sure if I go down, everyone goes down. A dead man's switch. Something like that. Dolores whistled softly. You're playing a dangerous game, kid. I'm already in prison for 5 years, Dolores. How much worse can it get? The older woman laughed, but it was bitter. Oh, honey, it can always get worse. That night, Maya lay awake in her bunk, listening to the familiar sounds of the cell block. Dolores's words echoed in her mind. What matters is who you are when you leave. She thought about her mother, about the denied claim notice, about the algorithm that had valued profits over lives. She thought about the $3.5 million sitting in escrow, waiting for the 5-year clock to run down. She thought about Covington, free and wealthy, probably sleeping soundly on those 500 thread count sheets. And she thought about the prison's infrastructure, fragile, failing, and now mapped completely in her mind. Every electronic lock, every security camera, every networked device. She knew where the backups were stored, how the power was routed, where the manual overrides were located. She could lock this place down. She could trap every guard and administrator inside their own security system. She could force Covington's hand by threatening to expose not just the Medicaid scandal, but the systemic negligence that put prisoners at risk every single day. She could do it, easily, but should she? Outside her cell, footsteps echoed. Officer Elias making his rounds. He paused at her cell door. She could see his shadow through the small window. Then he moved on. He trusted her. Or at least he trusted her enough to give her access. That trust was a weapon, but it was also a responsibility. 2 more years until the trust activated. 2 more years of staying invisible, staying compliant, staying down. In the darkness, she heard Dolores's breathing, slow and steady from the bunk below. A survivor's breathing. Someone who'd learned to endure. Maya would endure too. She had to, but she wasn't naive enough to believe that endurance would be enough. Covington was coming. The only question was when, and what Maya would do when she arrived. The insurance wasn't finished, not yet, and tomorrow she'd keep building. The summons came on a Tuesday morning, 18 months into her sentence. Maya was in the maintenance closet, repairing a router from the administrative wing, when Elias appeared in the doorway with an expression she'd never seen before. Not anger, not suspicion, but something closer to resignation. "You have a visitor," he said. "VIP clearance. Warden's conference room." Maya's hand stilled on the router. In 18 months, she'd had exactly 3 visitors. A public defender checking on her case status, a social worker doing a routine assessment, and Sarah, once, 6 months ago, for a conversation that had ended with both of them in tears and nothing resolved. "Who is it?" She didn't give me a name, just credentials that made the warden scramble like his job was on the line. Elias stepped aside. "Let's go." The walk through the prison felt longer than usual. Other inmates watched them pass, sensing that something was different. Maya kept her breathing steady, her mind already racing through possibilities. Federal investigators? The prosecutors reopening her case? Or the conference room door opened, and Maya's breath caught. Madam Covington sat at the table, immaculate in a charcoal suit, her hair perfectly styled, her hands folded over a leather portfolio. She looked exactly as she had the last time Maya had seen her, in the courtroom, dabbing at her eyes with that theatrical handkerchief. "Maya," Covington said warmly, as if they were meeting for coffee instead of in a prison conference room. "You look well." Elias positioned himself by the door. "I'll be right outside." "That won't be necessary, officer," Covington said smoothly. "This is a privileged conversation between a former employer and her employee regarding potential testimony in an unrelated matter. Privacy is legally required." Elias looked at Maya. She nodded slightly. He left, but she could see his shadow through the frosted glass, close enough to intervene if needed. Covington waited until the door clicked shut. Then her warm expression evaporated like steam. "The trust fund," she said flatly. "The anonymous trust set to activate in 3.5 years. Very clever, Maya. Hide the money in plain sight by making it evidence. Wait out your sentence. Let the legal clock run down. Then distribute it to the very people I worked so hard to exclude from payouts." Maya said nothing. "I found your backup protocols. The dead man switches. The encrypted files set to auto-publish if you don't check in regularly. The whole elaborate infrastructure you built to make sure that even if something happened to you, the truth would come out." Covington leaned back. "You really thought you could beat me?" "I thought I could outlast you," Maya said quietly. Covington's laugh was sharp. "Outlast me? Darling, I've been playing this game since before you were born. You're brilliant, I'll give you that. But you're also naive. You think justice is something you can code into existence. You think the truth matters if you just present it correctly. It does matter. To whom? To the families of people who died years ago? To journalists who might write an outraged article that gets forgotten in a week? To prosecutors who are already overworked and underpaid?" Covington opened her portfolio, sliding a newspaper clipping across the table. Maya looked down. The headline read, "Bastion Secure awarded $200 million federal contract for national security infrastructure." "I'm building the Covington National Grid," Covington said, a centralized security system for the entire country's critical infrastructure. Power, water, communications, transportation, everything. The contract was signed 3 months ago. Implementation begins in 18 months. Maya felt ice forming in her stomach. The system is based on your designs, Covington continued. Your silicon cell protocol, your encryption architecture, your brilliant, unhackable infrastructure. Except, she paused, smiling. You and I both know it's not unhackable, is it? Because you know every single backdoor, every single flaw, every single weak point. You built them in intentionally, didn't you? Little trapdoors for yourself in case you ever needed them. I built them for security auditing. You built them because you're too smart to trust anyone, including yourself. And now those trapdoors are about to become part of the nation's most critical infrastructure. Covington leaned forward. So here's my offer, Maya. You confess to hacking the Covington National Grid from inside this prison. You take responsibility for the failures that are about to start occurring. Failures I've designed to justify emergency funding, increases in expanded federal contracts. You add another 5 years to your sentence, and in exchange, I leave your precious trust fund alone. The money goes to those families. Your mother's ghost gets her justice, and you get to be the martyr you always wanted to be. And if I refuse, then I make sure every single person who dies because of the Medicaid algorithm gets connected to you in the media. Your mother didn't die because of my cost cutting. She died because her daughter wasn't smart enough to fix the system before it was too late. You knew about the flaws, you documented them, and you did nothing until after she was dead. That's not grief, Maya. That's negligence. Maybe even manslaughter. The words hit like physical blows. Maya's vision blurred at the edges. You have 48 hours to decide, Covington said, standing. Confess to the grid hack and save your trust fund, or stay silent and watch me destroy everything you tried to build, including your mother's memory. She walked to the door, then paused. You know what your real mistake was, Maya? You thought you were the architect, but you were only ever the tool. I decided what got built, I decided what got destroyed, and I'm deciding now. The door opened, closed. Covington's expensive perfume lingered in the air, sandalwood and victory. Maya sat alone in the conference room for a long time. That night, Dolores found her in their cell, staring at the ceiling. She came, Dolores said. It wasn't a question. She wants me to confess to something I didn't do. Again. Will you? Maya turned her head. Would you? Dolores was quiet for a moment. When I took that money from the nursing home corporation, I knew I'd get caught eventually. I wasn't careful enough, and I didn't care. I wanted them to know someone fought back. Someone said no. She sat on her bunk. But the thing they don't tell you is that fighting back costs more than you think. Not just time, not just freedom. It costs the person you were. Every day in here, you lose a little bit of yourself, and you have to decide if what you're fighting for is worth what you're losing. The money was for the families. The money was for your guilt, Dolores interrupted. You feel responsible for your mother's death because you couldn't save her. So you're trying to save everyone else instead. But Maya, some people can't be saved. Some systems can't be fixed. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is just survive. Maya closed her eyes. I built a logic bomb. It's hidden in the prison's electrical system. If I trigger it, every electronic door, gate, and security system locks down. Nobody gets in or out. I can hold this place hostage until the media arrives, until I can tell my story publicly. Force Covington's hand. And then what? You become a terrorist instead of a thief? You think that helps anyone? It exposes the truth. The truth doesn't set you free, kid. It just makes your cage more visible. Dolores lay down, turning toward the wall. You do what you need to do, but remember, in 5 years you could walk out of here. Start over. Live a life. Or you could die in here trying to be a hero. Your choice. Maya spent the next 48 hours in the maintenance closet, staring at her makeshift computer. The logic bomb was ready. One command and she could lock down the entire prison. Force a confrontation. Make Covington's corruption visible. Or she could do nothing. Serve her time. Let the trust activate. Let the money reach the families quietly, without fireworks or martyrdom. Ilias brought her a broken tablet to repair. You okay, Vance? You've been quiet. Just thinking, sir. About your visitor. Maya looked at him. This man who'd given her tools and trust, who'd let her fix broken things because he genuinely wanted to keep people safe. If you knew someone was going to do something terrible, but stopping them would destroy your own life, would you do it anyway? Elias sat down on the workbench. I've been a corrections officer for 23 years. You know what I've learned? The system doesn't reward heroes. It rewards survivors. The people who make a difference aren't the ones who burn everything down. They're the ones who show up every day and do the small things right. Fix the washing machine. Repair the tablet. Keep the locks working. He met her eyes. You've helped more people in this prison by fixing things than you ever did by stealing millions of dollars. But the money will get to those families or it won't. That's out of your control now. What's in your control is what you do next. He stood up. Whatever you're planning, think hard about whether it's justice or just revenge. After he left, Maya stared at the computer screen. The cursor blinked in the command line, waiting. She thought about her mother, about the denied claim, about Covington's smile, about the $3.5 million, about the families who might never receive it, about the Covington national grid and all the vulnerabilities she'd built into it, about the power she had to bring it all crashing down. And she thought about Dolores's words. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is just survive. Maya reached out and typed a command. Not the logic bomb, something else entirely. She deleted every backdoor, every trapdoor, every vulnerability she'd ever built into her systems, every single one, including the ones in the Covington national grid. Then she deleted the logic bomb itself. Finally, she wiped the computer's hard drive and pulled out the components, reducing it to nothing but parts again. When Elias came back an hour later, Maya was sitting quietly in the empty closet. I'm done, she said. No more repairs, no more fixes. I just want to serve my time. Elias looked around the closet, noting the disassembled computer. You sure? I'm sure. He nodded slowly. All right then, back to general population. 3.5 years later, Maya walked out of prison on a gray Tuesday morning. She was 28 years old. She had no job prospects, no references, and a permanent criminal record. Sarah was waiting by the bus station. Older, quieter, but still recognizably Sarah. She didn't say anything. She just handed Maya a package. Inside was a laptop, a burner phone, and a note. The money transferred last night, all $3.5 million, split between 127 families. Covington tried to stop it, but couldn't. The legal triggers were too tight. The trust worked exactly as you designed it. You won, Maya, but I hope you realize the cost. I hope you realize what you gave up. I hope it was worth it. S. At the bottom in smaller print, the grid files are also in here. Every backdoor you built, every vulnerability. You could still burn it all down, or you could walk away. Who are you now, Maya? Maya stood at the bus station for a long time, holding the laptop. Behind her, the prison walls rose against the morning sky. Ahead of her, the city sprawled, full of possibilities and dangers, full of systems that needed fixing and systems that were beyond repair. She opened the laptop. The files were all there, exactly as Sarah described. The evidence, the vulnerabilities, the power to destroy Covington's empire. Maya looked at them for exactly 30 seconds. Then she closed the laptop, walked to the nearest trash can, and dropped it in. She kept only the phone. She called the one number programmed into it, the Algorithmic Accountability Project, Sarah's nonprofit. This is Maya Vance, she said when someone answered. I understand you're hiring technical consultants. I have experience with medical processing systems and security architecture. I'd like to apply. 3 months later, Maya was debugging code for a new algorithmic oversight system, one designed to catch the kind of errors that had killed her mother. It was quiet work, unglamorous. No one would write articles about it. No one would call her a hero. But every line of code she fixed, every error she caught, every patient whose claim processed correctly because the system actually worked, that was real. That mattered. At night, she sometimes wondered what happened to the laptop in the trash, if someone found it, if Covington ever discovered how close she'd come to being exposed, if the Covington national grid would eventually fail the way all poorly built systems eventually fail. But mostly she didn't think about it. She was too busy building something better. 5 years after Maya's release, the Covington National Grid experienced a catastrophic failure. The official report blamed unforeseen cascading errors in legacy code. Madam Covington retired with a $40 million severance package and no criminal charges. The Algorithmic Accountability Project successfully lobbied for federal oversight of AI-driven healthcare systems. Error rates in Medicaid claim denials dropped from 34% to 4%. An estimated 12,000 lives were saved in the first 3 years alone. Maya Vance continues to work as a technical consultant. She lives in a small apartment. She doesn't use social media. When asked about her time at Bastion Secure or her imprisonment, she politely declines to comment. Her mother's grave has fresh flowers every week. The marker reads, "She deserved better, so we built it."